Stop listening. Stop reading. Stop writing. If you have been studying English for 10 years and you still freeze when a waiter asks you what you want for dinner, you are suffering from the silent student syndrome. There is only one cure. It is not a textbook. It is not a grammar app. It is a technique that mimics the way a baby learns to speak from its mother. Today, we are going to break your silence.
And let me tell you, I have seen students with PhDs, brilliant engineers who can build bridges, yet they crumble like a dry cookie when they have to order a coffee in Manhattan. They know the theory, they lack the muscle. Today isn't about learning new words, it is about physical training.
Exactly. Welcome to the Slow English channel. I'm Daisy.
And I'm Professor Peter Hansen.
Today's topic is I tried shadowing for 30 days. But we aren't just talking about the theory. We are going to walk you through the blood, sweat, and tears of what actually happens during those 30 days. Peter, before we open the journal on this experiment, I need you to validate something for our listeners. Is shadowing actually a legitimate academic tool, or is it just another internet trend?
It is as legitimate as a pianist practicing their scales, Daisy. Back in 1994, when I first started teaching at the university in New York, I had a student named Koji. Koji was a brilliant writer. His grammar test scores were perfect, 100%. But in class, silence. He was terrified. He told me that in his head, he sounded like Barack Obama, but when he opened his mouth, he felt like he was stumbling over rocks. I introduced him to shadowing, not just repeating, but shadowing. There's a massive difference.
That is a crucial distinction, Peter. Hold on, let's pause right there. You said there's a difference between repeating and shadowing. I think 90% of our listeners think they're the same thing. Can we break this down step by step?
Absolutely. Repeating is what you do in a traditional classroom. The teacher says, "The cat is on the table." Then there's a pause, silence. Then the student says, "The cat is on the table." That's repeating. It's safe, it's slow, and it's useless for fluency.
Because the brain has time to analyze it?
Precisely. You are translating. Shadowing is simultaneous. You play the audio, and you speak along with the speaker, like a shadow following a body. You do not wait for the sentence to finish. You are a millisecond behind. You're copying the rhythm, the emotion, the pause, the breath. You are not a student answering a question. You are an actor inhabiting a role.
That sounds intense. It sounds like trying to sing a song you don't quite know the lyrics to yet.
It is intense, it's exhausting, and that's why it works.
Okay, so for this episode, we're going to look at a case study. I have the journal here of a student, let's call him Marco, who committed to 30 days of deep shadowing. We're going to analyze his journey week by week. But first, Peter, I want to talk about the preparation. Marco wrote here on day 0, "I feel stupid doing this."
Yes, the shame factor. This is the first barrier.
He says, "I'm sitting in my room talking to myself, making strange noises. My roommate thinks I'm crazy." Peter, why is the psychology of this so difficult?
Because, Daisy, language is identity. When you speak your native language, you are you. You are confident. When you shadow, you are surrendering your identity. You are mimicking someone else. You have to let go of your ego. In New York, I tell my students, leave your dignity at the door. You have to be willing to sound foolish to become fluent.
So let's look at week 1, days 1 through 7. Marco's notes are filled with frustration. He writes, "My mouth hurts. My jaw feels tight. I cannot keep up with the speed." Let's unpack the physical side of this. Why does his mouth hurt?
This is my favorite topic. The mouth is a gym. Your tongue is a muscle. Your lips are muscles. If you're a Spanish speaker or a Japanese speaker or a Russian speaker, your tongue has spent 20 or 30 years doing push-ups in a specific way. English requires you to do yoga.
That's a brilliant analogy.
It really is. For example, the American R sound, the R. In many languages, the R is tapped against the teeth or rolled in the throat. In American English, the tongue pulls back into the center of the mouth, not touching anything. It's a completely different muscle contraction. Marco's mouth hurts because he is physically training muscles he has never used before.
Let's do a drill on that right now for the listeners. I want to focus on that feeling of tightness Marco mentioned. Peter, give us a sentence that's physically demanding for a non-native speaker.
Okay, here's a classic tongue twister that I use to loosen up the jaw. Listen to the rhythm. Rural jurors rarely worry.
Oh, that is just cruel. Even I have to think about that one.
Exactly. Rural jurors rarely worry. Now, Daisy, I want you to break that down. How does your mouth move when you say rural?
Okay, listeners, close your eyes. Visualize my mouth. When I start rural, my lips make a tight circle, like I'm blowing a kiss. Ooh. Then my tongue pulls back. Rural. It's a double movement.
And that's the British way, which is slightly softer. In New York, we really growl at it. Roll. It's aggressive.
Let's try it. Listeners, repeat after Peter. Don't wait for him to finish. Say it with him.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Rural jurors rarely worry.
Again.
Rural jurors rarely worry.
Now, Marco wrote that he couldn't keep up with the speed. He was shadowing a news report. Was that a mistake?
Huge mistake. This is the Goldilocks problem. If the audio is too fast, you panic. If it's too slow, you get bored. Marco should not have started with the news. News anchors speak at about 150 to 170 words per minute. That's a sprint. Marco needed to start with a jog.
So, what do you recommend for week 1?
Podcasts like this one, audiobooks for young adults, content where the speaker is clear, articulate, and perhaps slightly slower than natural conversation. You need to feel a small win. If you fail every time you open your mouth, your brain will release cortisol, the stress hormone. You want dopamine. You want to feel, hey, I did that.
Okay, moving on to week 2, days 8 through 14. This is where Marco hits what he calls the valley of despair. He writes, I'm doing it every day, but I don't feel like I'm getting better. I sound robotic. I'm just making noise.
The plateau. This is where 90% of students quit. They expect linear progress. They think, I worked hard for 10 days, I should be 10% better. But learning is not a straight line. It's a staircase. You walk flat for a long time, and then suddenly you jump up.
He mentions sounding robotic. I think this is because he's focusing too much on the words and not the melody.
Bingo. Daisy, let's talk about intonation. This is the music of the language. You can pronounce every word perfectly, but if your music is wrong, you will sound like a machine, or worse, you might sound rude.
This is a huge issue between British and American English as well. We have different songs.
We do. Let's debate this for a moment. Listeners, pay attention. I want you to hear the difference in how Daisy and I ask a simple question. The question is, what are you doing tomorrow? Daisy, you go first.
Ideally, in a polite London context, I would use a falling, rising intonation to sound inviting. What are you doing tomorrow? My voice goes up on doing and settles down, then a little tick up at the end. It's soft.
It sounds lovely, very polite. Now, in New York, if I ask a friend that, it's much flatter, maybe even falling at the end to show seriousness or directness. What are you doing tomorrow? The stress hits doing hard and then it drops.
Listeners, did you hear that? Daisy, what are you doing tomorrow? Peter, what are you doing tomorrow?
Marco felt robotic because he was likely shadowing word by word. He needs to shadow thought group by thought group.
Explain thought group, please.
A thought group is a chunk of words that belong together. We don't speak in individual words. We speak in clusters. I was going to the store, but it was closed. Those are 3 musical bars. If you shadow I was going to the, you are a robot. You must shadow the flow.
Let's try a drill on this. Emotional shadowing. I love this technique. Peter, I want you to say the phrase, I can't believe you did that, but I want you to say it with 3 different emotions. Marco needs to learn that the meaning changes with the tone.
Excellent. Scenario 1. I am angry. I just found out my student didn't study for the exam. I can't believe you did that.
Listeners, did you hear the punch on believe?
Scenario 2. I am surprised and happy. My friend bought me a birthday gift I wasn't expecting. I can't believe you did that.
The pitch is much higher. It's floaty.
Scenario 3. I am disappointed, sad. I can't believe you did that.
It's heavy. It drags.
So for week 2, my advice to Marco would be stop worrying about the individual vowels. Start mimicking the emotion. If the speaker on the audio is angry, you must be angry. If they are laughing, you must laugh. You have to be a parrot with a soul.
A parrot with a soul. I am writing that down. Okay, let's move to week 3, days 15 through 21. Marco writes, something weird is happening. I was in the shower today and I started speaking English to myself without thinking. Phrases are just popping into my head.
And there it is, the breakthrough.
He says, I didn't translate. I just said, where is the soap? And it felt like my mouth knew what to do before my brain did.
This is what we call automaticity. This is the holy grail. This is what you have been working for.
How does shadowing create this?
It comes back to what we said at the start, muscle memory. By week 3, Marco has repeated certain patterns thousands of times. His brain has built a highway. Before, the neural pathway for where is the soap was a dirt road full of holes. Now it is a paved superhighway. The signal travels instantly.
But Marco also notes a problem in week 3. He says, I am starting to pick up the accent of the speaker, but it feels fake. I am shadowing a British speaker, but I live in Canada. Should I stop?
This is a common question. Will I lose my own identity? Or should I mimic an accent that isn't mine? Daisy, what do you think? As a British teacher, if a student started sounding exactly like you, would you find it weird?
Honestly, I would find it flattering, but more importantly, it is temporary. You mimic to learn the mechanics. Eventually, your own voice will blend with the shadowing to create a unique Marco voice. You are trying on a costume to learn how to move. You won't wear the costume forever.
Exactly. And regarding the Canada versus British issue, it doesn't matter. English is flexible. If you shadow Daisy for 3 months, you will sound a bit British. If you then move to Toronto, within 6 months, your accent will shift again. The goal is clarity, not a perfect passport.
Let's talk about the specific technique of ghosting, which Marco tried in week 3. He says, I tried to say the words silently, moving my mouth but making no sound.
Ah, yes, proprioceptive training.
Could you spell that? That is a big word.
Proprioception. Proprioception. It is the body's ability to sense movement, action, and location. When you ghost or mouth the words silently, you are focusing 100% on the feeling of the lips and tongue, without the distraction of the sound. It is a very powerful drill for pronunciation.
I want to try a drill with this. Listeners, we're going to say a sentence. First, we'll say it loud. Then, we'll say it silently, just the air. The sentence is, she sells seashells by the seashore.
A classic. Okay, loud first. 1, 2, 3. She sells seashells by the seashore.
Now, silent, just air. Exaggerate your lips.
Shh.
Did you feel how much more your lips had to work? When you turn off the voice, the muscles have to work harder to define the shape.
It's like lifting weights slowly. It burns more.
Week 4, the final stretch, days 22 through 30. Marco writes, I recorded myself today and compared it to day 1. I almost cried. I sound like a different person. Not perfect, but fluent. I don't stutter anymore.
That's the power of consistency. 30 days. It's not a lifetime. It's 1 month. But the compounding effect is massive.
However, he ends with a question. Now that the 30 days are over, what do I do? Do I stop? Do I continue forever?
You never stop, but you change the intensity. You don't need to shadow for an hour a day for the rest of your life. It becomes a maintenance tool. Maybe 10 minutes a day. Or maybe you only use it before a big presentation. It's like stretching. You don't stop stretching just because you can touch your toes. You keep doing it so you can keep touching your toes.
Peter, I want to take a detour here. We've talked about Marco, but I want to hear a story from you. You have taught thousands of students. Tell me about the most dramatic transformation you've seen using this method. Give us some hope.
Well, there was a woman named Elena. She was from Russia. She was a scientist, a brilliant chemist. She came to New York to lead a research team. Her reading and writing were academic level, but her accent was so thick, so heavy, that her American colleagues simply could not understand her. She was almost fired, not because she wasn't smart, but because communication broke down. She came to my office in tears. She said, "Peter, I'm going to lose my visa. I'm going to lose my job."
That's high stakes.
Very high. We had 3 weeks before her next major evaluation. I told her, "Elena, we are going to do radical shadowing." I gave her recordings of Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep? Why her?
Because Meryl Streep is the master of clarity and tone. She articulates beautifully. Elena had to shadow Meryl Streep for 2 hours a day, not reading, just listening and mimicking, walking around her apartment, shouting like Meryl Streep.
2 hours? That's grueling.
It was desperation, but something happened. Elena stopped trying to speak English and started performing English. She stopped analyzing the grammar in her head and started trusting the sound. In 3 weeks, her heavy, guttural rhythm softened. She learned to link words. She learned to breathe. At her evaluation, she didn't just pass. Her boss asked her if she had hired a speech coach. She saved her job.
That's incredible. It highlights something we often forget. We think of language learning as an intellectual pursuit, but often it's a performance art.
It is. You have to be brave enough to act.
I want to address the skeptics. There's always someone listening who says, "This won't work for me. I'm too old. My hearing isn't good. I have no time."
I'm too old is the biggest lie in the world. I had a student who was 72, a retired baker from Italy. He started shadowing because he wanted to understand his American grandchildren. Plasticity, neuroplasticity, slows down as we age, yes, but it does not stop. The brain can change until the day you die. It just takes a little more repetition. If you are 50, you might need to shadow a sentence 50 times instead of 30. So what? You have the time.
And the no time excuse?
Please. You commute? Shadow in the car. You wash dishes? Shadow while scrubbing. You walk the dog? Shadow. Shadowing does not require a desk. It requires ears and a mouth. It is the ultimate portable study method.
I want to go back to the nuances of British versus American shadowing one more time before we wrap up. Because our listeners are global, if someone wants to sound British specifically, what should they focus on when shadowing? What are the signature sounds? Well, if you are shadowing me, for example, you need to watch the vowels, the O sound. In London, we say note. It is round. In America, Peter, you say
Note. It is a bit more open, but the biggest difference is the letter T. If you want to sound American, you must master the flap T, the T that sounds like a D. Water, butter, better.
Right. In the UK, we keep the T sharp. Water, butter. Or if we are being very casual and doing a glottal stop, we swallow it. Were.
So if you are shadowing a British series like The Crown or Sherlock, and you start using American flap T's, you are going to sound very confused. You need to pick a lane. For the 30 days, pick one accent. Don't mix Friends with Downton Abbey.
That is practical advice. Consistency is key.
Peter, I want to do one final drill, a difficult one. A sentence with complex grammar and rhythm. I want to show the listeners how to build it up. We call this back-chaining.
Back-chaining. I love this. Explain it.
Instead of starting at the beginning of the sentence, we start at the end. This preserves the intonation. If you start at the beginning, you often run out of breath or mess up the rhythm by the end. If you start at the end, you build confidence.
Give us the sentence.
I would have gone to the party if I had known you were there.
Oof. Conditionals. Would have gone. Had known. A nightmare for many.
Exactly. So let's back-chain it. Listeners, repeat after Daisy. We start with the last word. There.
There.
You were there.
You were there.
If I had known you were there.
If I had known you were there.
To the party.
To the party.
Gone to the party.
Gone to the party.
I would have gone.
I would have gone.
Now put it all together. I would have gone to the party if I had known you were there.
I would have gone to the party if I had known you were there.
See how smooth that was? By the time you get to the full sentence, your brain already knows the end destination. You aren't lost.
That is such a powerful technique for long sentences.
It prevents the panic. Most people panic halfway through a long sentence. Back-chaining removes the fear.
So let's summarize the 30-day shadowing challenge for our listeners who want to start today. I will list the steps and you give the golden rule for each. Step 1. Choose your audio.
Golden rule. Comprehensible input. It must be something you understand 80 to 90% of. Do not shadow something you don't know the words. You are training the muscles, not the vocabulary.
Step 2. The setup.
Golden rule. Headphones. You must hear the speaker directly in your ears, and you must speak loudly enough to hear your own voice over the audio. It is a battle of volumes.
Step 3. The daily habit.
Golden rule. Frequency over duration. 10 minutes every single day is infinitely better than 1 hour once a week. The muscles need daily activation.
Step 4. The mindset.
Golden rule. Embrace the awkwardness. You will feel silly. Do it anyway. The feeling of silliness is the feeling of growth.
Peter, this has been an incredibly deep dive. I feel like I need to go do some facial yoga right now. My jaw is sympathetic to our listeners.
It is a workout, but remember, the strongest muscle in the body is the tongue. Use it.
Before we go, Peter, give us one final thought. For the person sitting in their car right now who has tried everything and feels like giving up, what do you say to them?
I would say this. Language is not knowledge. Language is a physical connection between two human beings. You have spent years building the knowledge. You have the bricks, you have the wood, but you haven't built the house because you haven't picked up the hammer. Shadowing is the hammer. Pick it up, swing it. It will feel heavy at first, but after 30 days, you won't just be studying English. You'll be living it. Don't let your silence win.
Don't let your silence win. I love that. Thank you, Professor Peter Hansen, for your wisdom today.
My pleasure, Daisy. Keep speaking, everyone.
And thank you to our listeners. If you try the 30-day shadowing challenge, write to us. Send us your journals. We want to hear about your pain, your awkwardness, and your breakthroughs. This is the Slow English Channel. I'm Daisy.
And I'm Peter.
See you in the next episode.
Goodbye.